welcome along, I'm Chris Hall, and today I'm going to be reviewing the latest Dragon Ball movie, Dragon Ball Super Superheroes. Now this video is going to be spoiler free. I repeat, spoiler free. This video is going to be a spoiler free zone. I will be doing a spoiler video at a later point. I just don't have time at the moment to really do that because of work commitments, and I humbly beg anyone who's going to leave a comment about their thoughts and feelings about this movie down below in the comment section down below to avoid spoilers in all shapes and forms. Just say whether you liked the movie or whether you hated it or whether you're indifferent. Just let me know your thoughts. Like I say, I will be doing a spoiler video at a later point, just can't do that now. Now, with all that said and done, let's get into the review of Dragon Ball Super Superheroes. Now, before we actually just one more thing before we get into the review. Just two things very quickly. Number one, it's been a long day for me, so I do apologise if I sound a little bit more low energy than usual. And two, I've had just about every single major aspect of this movie spoilt for me. I think that the decision to delay the release in Western territories by Toei is just plain stupid, and it has led to a situation where I practically knew the movie off by heart before we even got the title card of the movie. I mean, my word. Of course, it's not necessarily Toei's fault. It's a bunch of scumbag YouTubers deciding to just give away everything in the plots, everything in the thumbnails of their videos and the titles of their videos because they're arseholes. That's all they are. Just horrible, stupid arseholes. I'm sorry I'm starting this on a down note, but it's really pissed me off. And of course, this comes about 24 hours since a major plot element in My Hero Academia was ruined for me again. I just seem to be this big magnet for spoilers at the moment. It really is pissing me off, but that's a rant and discussion for another time. As for here and now, to actually talk about the movie itself, look, I'll be honest with you. I enjoyed this movie quite a lot. Is this movie anywhere near as good as the Dragon Ball Broly movie? No, it frankly isn't. It is a whole other beast, is the most diplomatic way I can possibly put this. This is a whole different scenario. This is a movie where the stakes are a lot lower, our characters, our cast is a lot more narrow, and we're not having to deal with characters that are so strong they can punch a hole in the multiverse, or the universe, or the galaxy, or the solar system. This is an Earth-based threat coming from the Earth itself. It is a movie which, like I say, I did enjoy pretty much every single moment of it, bar a few moments which I'll discuss in the spoiler video, but I think that it's a very healthy movie. It is the perfect Dragon Ball movie that you could expect it to be. It doesn't overstay its welcome, it doesn't get too stupid, with a few exceptions, but again, spoilers. But I do feel that the movie itself might have been lacking in polish in certain aspects of it, but we'll talk about it in a few moments. The story itself is fine, though I will admit that seeing the previews and the trailers for this movie coming forward, I did expect there to be a lot more slice of life stuff, because the movie itself, it takes place about 2 or 3 years since the end of Dragon Ball Super. The events of the manga are not referenced, so you don't need to worry about that kind of stuff. It's all might as well not have happened, which kind of just brings more ammo to the fire as to whether or not the manga's canon anymore, but that's a whole debate for a whole other time. This particular story takes place, like I say, 3 or so years since the end of Super, and I was kind of expecting more slice of life stuff, or at least a better opportunity to see where all our characters are, because it's been 3 years, certain characters have changed. Certain characters have changed quite a bit, but again, don't want to give away any spoilers, so I was kind of expecting almost like we had at the start of the Battle of Gods movie and Resurrection F. We just took a little bit at the beginning of the movie, just see where everyone is in their life, just get a feeling for them. We don't get that. We do get a little bit towards the start of the movie, but it's very compacted and very narrow, and it's mostly focused around Piccolo, and I'm just going to be honest, I think this movie probably should have been named Dragon Ball Super Piccolo, because he feels like more of the protagonist of this movie than Gohan or Pan or anyone else. I think I read somewhere that this movie was originally going to be a Piccolo-focused movie, but then they modified and changed it after the fact to include other characters, and given by one particular sequence, they definitely went out of the way to modify this movie to include certain characters who ultimately don't need to be in the movie whatsoever, but by gum we're going to include them just for the sake of the marketing and merchandising by the looks of it, but that's a rant for the spoiler video. But again, this movie probably should have been called Dragon Ball Super Piccolo because of just how much it focused on him. basic plot and the idea of this movie is that Dr. Hedo is the... I was nearly give away a spoiler then, but I didn't. They're the new mad scientist who has teamed up with the Red Ribbon Army who wants to save the world. They desperately believe that they are going to be superheroes that are going to save the world. So they create a range of androids designed to bring peace to the world and defeat an evil crime syndicate, the Capsule Corporation. Yeah, basically he's been manipulated and tricked into thinking that the heroes are the bad guys and that the bad guys are the heroes. And this ends up ultimately leading to a story which ends up going pretty much everywhere that you would expect it to do. But with then that said, I did get everything spoiled for me, so there wasn't that many surprises in the woodwork as far as where this movie was going to end up going, from my particular opinion. And I suppose this isn't helped by the fact that even if I didn't know where the movie was going as far as spoilers were concerned, this movie is incredibly predictable and isn't helped by the fact that very early on in the movie, they pretty much... No, they don't pretty much do it. They literally do it. They explicitly say who the big bad of the movie is going to end up being. So the rest of the movie from that point on just feels like a when are we going to get to the fireworks factory kind of thing. It's like waiting for the iceberg to hit in the Titanic. Just this lumbering thing that's going to come through and you're going to be like, okay, so how are they going to wrap this one up? How are they going to wrap this one up? When's this thing coming along? When's it coming along? And without getting into the spoilers, I'll just say this. For the past few months, there's been a lot of fan theories, a lot of speculation as to who the big bad was going to end up being. And I think it's fair to say that just about every single fan theory as to who the big bad was going to be is better than who it ended up being. I won't give anything away, but at the end of the day, it literally could have been anyone, and it would have been a lot more interesting than what we got. Sure, all of this makes for great action sequences, and that itself is the bread and butter of the franchise. A lot of people just watch Dragon Ball for the action. People like me, we kind of like the story a little bit more. We like the humorous moments. So there's a lot of humorous moments to be had in this particular movie. This movie seems to have a weird obsession with bottoms, but you know what? Each to their own. A lot of the humour itself really hits. I will admit that I did watch this as the dubbed version of it, and the reason being is because, quite simply, I don't have the time and the money to see this movie several times over to understand everything that's going on. Certainly not with how much I get paid at work, but that's a discussion for all of the time. God helping me, hoping that this video on that review actually gets me some money. But anyway, as I was saying, I feel that the movie itself has plenty of these fun little comedy moments. I just wish there was a little bit more of them because they really do add an extra dimension to things. The main story itself is predictable. The action sequences go everything the way you think they're going to do. The slice of life stuff has, for my opinion, been the best stuff that you'd end up seeing in Super. And the little that we see of it in this movie is great. It got a lot of laughs when I was seeing it in the cinema, but we don't get a lot of it. After a certain point, it's just, right, time for the serious story time, enough. Time for us all to get serious. Time for the action. And then it just becomes like every other Dragon Ball movie that isn't Dragon Ball Super Broly, where we have one act where it's just build and like character stuff, and then the rest of it's just non-stop action and loud noises until it all gets wrapped up as though nothing ever happened at all. But that's just the way it is. I recently binge-watched all the Dragon Ball movies, and part of me feels that, you know, I could have just said I watched them all by only just watching one, but, you know, I'm starting to get a little bit delirious now. I think the movie itself is fine. I think that whilst there are some issues with it, namely the animation, it's nowhere near as bad as I think that some people are trying to make it out to be. Yeah, I'll admit, the animation itself is not to my liking. It isn't terrible by any stretch or means of the imagination, but it's jarring. It's jarring mostly due to the fact that throughout the movie you'll end up seeing these traditional 2D animated sequences that look fantastic. One at very early doors just makes me go, wow, I wish we had an entire series like that. But we don't, and we end up getting a movie which looks like, for the most part, like it's a sequence from one of the video games. All in just some smug arsehole in the corner, and we got the beginnings of a Let's Play video. I mean, the action itself is good. It's frequently spectacular and thrilling to behold, but it sometimes can look a little bit ropey. One particular scene in particular looked as though it was a rather late inclusion into the movie itself, with one character looking like they needed another couple passes as far as the animation was concerned. I mean, I ain't going to say who it is because it's kind of a spoiler, but oh dear, I kind of feel that we might have needed a little bit of extra time to polish a few things. Yeah. The movie itself, like I said, is fine, but the animation itself is lacking. It does that kind of weird thing that we're seeing a lot in 3D animation at the moment, where it just looks rather jittery, and I don't understand why. It's the main reason why I never saw that Spider-Man movie that came out a few years back, the Into the Spider-Verse or whatever it's called, because everything looks like a stop-motion movie. Everything looks like Wallace and Gromit, and I don't like it. It looks kind of ugly to me. Maybe the reason why they're doing it here is so that it's a similar kind of frame rate to the anime itself, but in 3D, it ain't it, boss. It really ain't it. And it's a shame because there are some decent fight sequences in the movie when everything is in full flow and everything is a decent frame rate. It looks great, but then everything suddenly gets a little choppier, and then, oh boy, that's where the things gotta go down. To go back to the Let's Play analogy, it's almost like the person's gaming rig is starting to slow down. There's just too much stuff happening on the screen, and it's lag. It's just all lag, and it just looks ugly, and it's a downer on the movie. Not a massive downer, but it's still one of the things where you're seeing a Dragon movie for the action. You're seeing the Dragon movie for the action, and action at times is let down by the fact the animation itself just doesn't quite hit the mark for me at some points. It's a lot better than the previews, though. The previews looked terrible, and what we actually get in the final product is a hell of a lot better. It just kind of feels as though it needed a little bit more time, a little bit more polish, because the way that some of these these 2D animation sequences look, there's a part of me that does wonder if it started out as a 2D project and then got redone as a 3D one later down the line. I don't think we'll ever know for certain, but my little fan theory brain is buzzing almighty at the back of my head right now. As a whole entity, would I recommend Dragon Ball Super Superheroes? Well, if you're a fan of the franchise, yes. I don't think it has the immediate entry point in the way that Broly does. I think that Broly is a better movie for someone who isn't quite as familiar with the Dragon Ball franchise, because it goes out of its way to just kind of explain things a lot better. This one is definitely very much a thing for the fans. It has a lot of fan service. Oh boy, it has a lot of fan service in it. But as a whole entity, yeah, it's a fine movie for what it is. It's not the greatest Dragon Ball movie that there's ever been, but it certainly isn't the worst, and I'm interested to see what this means for the greatest series itself. I'm not of the opinion that we're never going to see 2D animation again, but we'll see where everything goes. What did you think, dear listener? Did you like this movie? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll get back to you shortly. Be sure to like, favourite, subscribe, click the button, do all the YouTube stuff that YouTube wants you to do. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye! Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, favourite, subscribe, click the bell, and do all the YouTubey stuff that YouTube wants you to do. Go on, it'll do me a power of good. Until next time, my friends, goodbye!